One of the big questions is, what is money?
Practical purposes, it exists in a series of heterogeneous databases, very different databases.
Do you believe in crypto?
Digital currency may be an answer, but it is the highly speculative asset.
I do own Bitcoin.
There is no second best.
Welcome to the Crypto Curious podcast. Every Wednesday, we dive into the dynamic world of cryptocurrency. If you're new to crypto, we recommend starting with our early episodes where we break down the basics and give you a solid foundation to understand the crypto world. And for the crypto curious, the seasoned addict or the industry insider, we're here to help you unpack the latest digital news. This week on the show, Bitcoin balances around the 114,000 US dollar mark ahead of potential interest rate cuts by the Fed. Also, Bitcoin, can it match gold's historic rally of late? Our last story centres around some recent news. Coinbase could launch a token for their base layer 2. That's a really exciting development. My name's Tracey, and this week joined by my co-host Blake as we bring you all the latest crypto news. Hey Blake, welcome to the show.
Hey Trace, great to be back. Another exciting week of crypto ahead, but not as exciting as the webinar that we have coming up. So we're doing a live Q&A as well as discussing the crypto market cycle, why this time is different, and talking about all things crypto where we can answer your questions.
Yep, it is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that one too, which is the 2nd of October. More details to come. Check out our socials. So yes, very exciting for that one. Our first time, Blake, you are correct. But look, let's jump into the news, as always, that we bring you each week. So thank you to all of our folks that have been with us for almost 3 years now, Blake. So that's exciting. We'll jump into our first story that I mentioned. Bitcoin is stuck in a narrow range right now, holding steady at around 114,000 US dollars as traders hang on every inflation print and every word from the Federal Reserve over in the US. The latest CPI and PPI data dropped last week and have come in right on target. Now, I'll explain to you, the CPI is the Consumer Price Index, and that's what people pay for items at the shop. And the PPI, which is the Producer Price Index, is what businesses pay to make that stuff. With those numbers bang on expectations, the market really didn't flinch, leaving Bitcoin pretty much range bound, and everyone is really waiting to see what the Fed does next, Blake.
That's exactly right, Trey. So we're talking about the US data here, and what we're really hoping for is that inflation is under control, so then the Federal Reserve can reduce interest rates, and then more people and more businesses have more money to invest into crypto. So everyone's eagerly awaiting this, and on the 17th, which is later this week, we will see a lot of volatility, either up or down, depending if interest rates get cut or if not. Until then, I think it's just a little bit of a few tumbleweeds in the market, Trace.
Yeah, so obviously the big talk as well, Blake, is whether it's going to be a 25 basis point cut or a 50 point basis cut, isn't it? So does it really matter?
Well, obviously, I think if it's 0.5%, 50 basis points, then everyone will be very excited about this because it does suggest a trend. They're going to need to cut more rates thereafter as well, potentially. And yeah, so I think everyone's just waiting on this one. But we spoke about this previously. September has some seasonality. And what we mean by that is that generally in September, we see a pretty quiet month, if not a bit of a negative month, just because of the time of year, if we look at all the previous years and the averages. So nothing too concerning here.
So what happens next is really up to the Fed then. So that rate could spark Bitcoin's breakout, or it could hold things and it could dip further down. But either way, Bitcoin's pretty much holding and hanging off whatever Powell does next, Blake. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days.
That's it. And that's kind of linked to our next story, Trace, right?
Yep, absolutely. Let's move on to that one. Gold just hit a record high, breaking a 45-year-old benchmark. And that's got an analysis asking, can Bitcoin keep up? With gold making gains, what the gold to Bitcoin ratio does next will tell us a lot about where markets are headed, because I know that in the past we've spoken about this on the show, Blake, that there is normally a 4-month lag for Bitcoin to catch up with gold.
That's right. We saw that earlier in the year where gold rallied, and then when gold chilled out for a few months, that's really when Bitcoin, we saw all new all-time highs there. So it could be gold's turn to shine here. And when we measure all-time high for gold, I think it's really important to point out that some people like to adjust it for inflation. And what that means is that every year the government is printing a certain amount of money, reducing the buying power of our dollar by about 3 to 5%. Now, adjusting that back to 1980 levels means that we're about at the same level once it's all adjusted for inflation. And back then, it was $850 an ounce in 1980. It's now $3,683 an ounce adjusted for inflation. They're about the same price, so that's really interesting.
That is, I think gold being such a safe haven at the moment, where does this leave us? If gold keeps climbing, what does that say? It's a safe bet, obviously. Will Bitcoin catch up? And does Bitcoin need some kind of spark, whether that's big monies flowing in from other areas? I'm not sure.
It could be the case as well that a lot of other countries selling US treasuries or other speculative assets and then buying gold as a bit of a safe haven. Generally, this is a sign of broader concern in the global economy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people understand that, and holding gold is just, it's real value there. Okay, let's move on to our next story. We have got some big news for you here, folks. This one's only broken the last 10 hours. Coinbase may finally be changing its tune after years of saying they had no plans for a token on their Layer 2 base network. They've come out suggesting that they will now be exploring one. If this is true, this would be a huge shift for both Base and Coinbase and could set the stage for a whole new wave of activity. What are your thoughts on this, Blake?
It's really interesting, and there's a million different ways that this could be designed and implemented. But generally, we haven't seen publicly listed companies that also have a token within their ecosystem, like a governance token or an incentive token, because it creates tension between where value lies, either with the shareholders or with token holders. Obviously, token holders want more revenues and more capital going into the token in order to support its price appreciation. However, shareholders want more profits and more growth and more profits going back through dividends. So, there's a lot of important decisions here for Base and the Base community to make as they go through the design process. So this is really exciting. They've always said that they haven't wanted to do this, but the other exchange tokens we see with multi-billion-dollar valuations like Leo, OKX, Binance, which has multi-hundred-billion-dollar valuations. It's a way for them to build up the value of the assets on their balance sheet.
Yeah. And look, this was announced by Jesse Pollack, who runs Base over in the US. Like you said, it does put them in competition with some of the other major Layer 2s that are out there, like Optimism and Arbitrum. But he did mention in his speech when he was talking about this going live not so long ago that he really wanted to consult with their community and make sure that this was the right thing for their community. But question for you, Blake, how does this affect Base on the whole as far as regulations go with them being a publicly listed company?
Like I said, it is new ground for a company like this, and they must feel confident about the broader regulatory environment for them to even suggest this. If they're going to do it at any time, they would want to do it under Trump, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, so look, again, really exciting news that's come out of there, and this is just going to bring a lot of new eyeballs. They Base do things incredibly well, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that big story for sure. Look, let's leave it there. We'll go for a break, and when we come back, our short, sharp news bites. Here's Steve Smith buying a coffee. He's actually also investing in crypto at the same time, using Bamboo. You take care of drinking coffee with your mates, we'll take care of investing the small change. Start investing your change today with Bamboo. Welcome back. You're listening to the Crypto Curious podcast. Time now for our short, sharp news bites brought to you by the Bamboo app. I will kick off this one. A story about Sam Bankman-Fried. We were reporting on this guy few years ago being put into jail, and now he's talking about getting out of jail. So Sam Bankman-Fried, his lawyers have filed an appeal arguing that the jury in his FTX fraud trial was not allowed to see key evidence that could have shown that FTX had enough funds to cover customer withdrawals, and evidence was wrongly blocked by the judge. So for anyone out there who wants to be caught up, this was the FTX saga from 2022 as the second largest exchange at the time went down in spectacular fashion. So we'll see how this one goes and whether he has any luck at getting out of jail a little bit earlier, Blake.
That's right. Next up, Hong Kong police have arrested 2 crypto mining criminals in care homes. Hong Kong police have arrested 2 men who secretly installed 8 crypto miners in an aged care home, costing around $1,100 a month in extra power, resulting in downtime, the power and slow internet. I think there's a lot of this going on. No doubt people are putting sneaky Bitcoin miners in, getting free electricity where they can. So lesson here, check your roofs, make sure there's no Bitcoin miners.
Apparently this was going on for years and they didn't know. So there you go. However you can get away with it. Okay, what do we got here? A Bitcoin whale awakens after nearly 13 years. This whale bought 444,000 Bitcoin back in 2012 when it was $12 and moved roughly 137 of those worth $16 million this week. So like I said, dormant for 13 years. Some believe this could be tied to a new crypto treasury asking for long-term holders to contribute their coins rather than purely a sell signal that's out there. Interesting rumour on that one.
OpenSea has doubles NFT fees ahead of its Sea token launch. So OpenSea is a marketplace where you can buy and sell your NFTs, and their trading fee has gone from 0.5% to 1% as of September 15th. Little bit of a grab here, and 0.85% for token swaps. So these guys want to pump their revenue as much as possible. No surprise here, but it is a competitive space out there. I wonder how many people would jump ships to cheaper, more affordable platforms after this.
Interesting one. Okay, last story we've got here is the iPhone 17 adds memory protection, and also they offer a bold new Bitcoin Orange. So this memory integration, or MIE, memory integrity enforcement, is a bit of a add-on for hardware level protection, and it was aimed for the crypto folk like ourselves to have a bit of an extra layer of protection out there. So they're really marketing themselves to the crypto folk, as well as the cosmic orange, or Bitcoin Orange is what they were touting it when they popped it out there. But it did get a little bit of flack as well, because they also were saying it was the iPhone Air, one of the slimmest or smallest, thinnest iPhones out there. And I think it also then dropped 3% the shares for Apple that same day. So wasn't received as well as they had hoped. But there you go, Apple playing into our crypto market.
All right, I think that's it there, Trace. Now, just a reminder, check our socials for the webinar. Chuck in your questions if you want to ask us any questions for us to break down. No question is too far-fetched.
Oh, hang on. What? Yeah, look, we look forward to chatting with you guys live. So that'll be a fun one on the 2nd of October. But as Blake said, check out the socials. Yep, that's it, Blake. We'll be back next week with all of the crypto stories that you need to hear. But again, thanks for diving into this world with us today. If you've enjoyed it, bring a friend along next week who's trying to learn the weird and wonderful world of crypto. Until then, stay curious, stay connected. You can do this by joining our Facebook group or our Instagram page. We've got a weekly crypto newsletter that you can keep up to date with as well. Sign up in the notes below. If you are looking to DCA into the crypto market, take a look at the Bamboo app and use the code CURIOUS to get yourself $10 of free Bitcoin. Again, there's a link in the show notes below. Please join us again next week. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.